Let's talk about signals. Not the loud, flashing kind that dominate headlines and forum chatter, but the quiet, systemic kind. The kind that don't make a sound but change everything. For years, the conversation around the Iraqi dinar has been a waiting game, defined by a single, exhausting question: when will we see the headline? What if that's the wrong question entirely? What if the signal everyone has been waiting for isn't a public announcement, but a silent update deep within the global financial machinery? What if the dinar isn't being talked about in those halls anymore, but is being quietly recognized? That distinction isn't semantic, it's foundational, and it changes the entire narrative from one of hopeful speculation to one of procedural observation. You see, currencies don't revalue in the public sphere first. They move through systems, through compliance, protocols, liquidity mapping, internal software flags, and authorization pathways. Banks are not institutions of improvisation. They are institutions of layered, deliberate process. So, when a currency that has existed in a kind of financial limbo like the IQD begins to generate passive activity within those internal systems, it is not a cause for public celebration. It is, however, the cause for serious, informed attention. It tells you that preparation is happening somewhere upstream. The runway lights are being tested long before any announcement of a landing. This is the critical shift we are examining today. For over a decade, dinar holders have existed in a state of suspended animation. Not dismissed, not validated, simply waiting. Some stayed patient, some exited quietly, many simply stopped watching. But system-level activity changes the conversation. Not emotionally, but structurally. Because banks do not activate internal alerts out of curiosity. They do not allocate compliance resources or update digital architecture for a currency they expect to remain permanently sidelined. They do so when a requirement for readiness is being communicated through official, often invisible, channels. To understand why this moment is different, we must zoom out. Globally, our monetary systems are undergoing profound stress tests. We see historically high sovereign debt loads, tangible currency realignments, and a quiet, deliberate move away from exclusive dollar dependency in key regional trade corridors. Iraq sits at the precise intersection of several of these shifts. Its role in energy markets, its progress in regional trade pacts, the long-term project of normalizing its cross-border settlements, all of these point to a simple economic truth: the currency distortions of the past 2 decades were a temporary condition, not a permanent feature. This global backdrop doesn't guarantee any specific outcome for the IQD, but it absolutely explains why institutional attention would be turning to a ***. Timing in finance is rarely accidental. It is a function of converging pressures and preparedness. This brings us to the heart of the matter. When a banking system begins preparatory work on a currency it hasn't actively processed in years, it is not reacting to the hopes of retail holders. It is reacting to institutional requirements, to future accounting needs, to evolving compliance mandates, to the pre-establishment of liquidity pathways. In plain language, this activity suggests that someone, somewhere in the chain of global finance, has determined that these systems need to be ready. And readiness is a phase that always precedes public access. Now, let's dispel the most dangerous myth this activity can spawn: the confusion between visibility and availability. Internal system visibility means the architecture is aware. It means the IQD is no longer a blank space or an error code in the software. It is a recognized asset class with parameters being defined. Availability is the next, separate phase. It requires full authorization, finalized rates, and public-facing protocols. Jumping from the first to the second is the single most common error in speculative finance. It turns prudent observation into impulsive and often costly action. This is where the original, Unglamorous work of preparation becomes your only strategic advantage. The message has always emphasized documentation. Let's be unequivocal about why. In a compliance-driven world, documentation is not a bureaucratic hoop, it is the fundamental filter. Proof of ownership, valid government identification, a clear and traceable transaction history, these are not suggestions. They are the non-negotiable keys to the gate. During periods of high transactional volume, these filters become bottlenecks. The individuals and institutions that move through this process smoothly will not be the loudest voices on forums. They will be the quietest, most organized files in the queue. Banks, as coldly efficient entities, prioritize clean, complete submissions. A file that requires follow-up, clarification, or additional verification slows down the entire operational queue. In a high-volume environment, such files are sidelined. Your goal, therefore, is not to be first in line chaotically, but to be the most frictionless file in the system. This leads us to the paramount importance of authorized channels. This term is often treated as a legal disclaimer. It is far more than that. It is the operational reality. Only financial institutions with specific approvals from the relevant central banks and international regulators can legally process a currency transition. These institutions possess the approved compliance frameworks, the secure liquidity corridors, and the legal authority to make a transaction final and irreversible. Operating outside this framework doesn't just introduce risk, it guarantees failure. It is the equivalent of trying to board an international flight at a bus station. The vehicle may be going somewhere, but you will never clear customs. For international holders, this framework adds a layer, but does not change the principle. Your location does not exclude you, but it does subject your transaction to additional, cross-border scrutiny. This isn't about denial, it's about enhanced verification. The process is designed to be more meticulous, not more inaccessible. Attempting to circumvent this through unofficial back channels or third-party promises is the surest path to having your assets frozen or your transaction rejected. These channels may promise speed, but they cannot deliver the one thing that matters. Final clearance. Within this authorized, structured environment, concepts like phased or partial exchanges become important strategic tools, but they are widely misunderstood. From the bank's perspective, processing smaller, discrete batches is a core risk management tactic. It allows their verification and compliance teams to manage volume without being overwhelmed, reducing systemic strain and error. For the holder, this is not a consolation prize, it is a critical form of optionality. It provides flexibility and control, allowing you to respond to actual market conditions rather than acting out of urgency. However, and this is the pivotal point, this flexibility is offered almost exclusively to holders. With impeccable, ready documentation, a bank will not create a complex phased plan for a messy, incomplete file. The cleanest files get the most options. We must now address the psychological dimension, which is where most disciplined plans unravel. The appearance of systemic activity creates a powerful gravitational pull toward urgency. The fear of missing out becomes a louder voice than the logic of preparation. This is the moment where years of patience can be obliterated by minutes of panic. For families and long-term holders, the goal of preparation is not merely to succeed financially, but to navigate this process with reduced stress and clear-minded control. Navigating a complex compliance process under self-imposed time pressure is a recipe for catastrophic error. Your most valuable asset in the coming months may not be your currency, but your calm. Therefore, intelligent market awareness must replace obsessive market watching. The signals that matter will be boringly procedural. They will come in the form of updated guidance from authorized banks on document specifications, clarifications on submission processes, and official notices not from gurus, but from institutions like the Central Bank of Iraq or their international partners. Watching for these official signals protects you from the emotional contagion of speculative chatter. Your strategy should be built on responding to clarity, not reacting to noise. So, what is the realistic progression if this systemic readiness continues? It will follow a structure, not a spectacle. It will look like more authorized institutions coming online with aligned processes. It will look like the normalization of procedures, the establishment of clear, if sequential, access windows. Orderly is the key word. An orderly process is deliberate, compliant, and gradual. It does not reward those who sprint ahead of the starting gun. It rewards those who are in perfect position when the gun officially sounds. In conclusion, the appearance of IQD-related activity within banking infrastructure is a meaningful development, not because it promises an immediate payoff, but because it signals a shift from theoretical possibility to procedural preparation. The system is no longer idle. The machinery of global finance is beginning to orient itself around a new, or rather renewed, variable. This does not complete the journey, but it confirms the journey has entered a new, more tangible phase. Your task is now to align yourself with that procedural reality, secure your documentation with the diligence of an archivist, identify and establish contact with your authorized banking channel. Cultivate the discipline to ignore loud, unofficial promises and focus on quiet, official instructions. Separate the signal of system readiness from the noise of speculative excitement. If you have held through years of uncertainty, you have already passed the test of patience. The next test is one of precision. Move forward not with the anxiety of someone hoping to catch a wave, but with the calm assurance of someone who has built a seaworthy vessel, studied the tides, and is ready to sail when the harbor master gives the final, official clearance. The waiting has not ended, but its nature has changed. It is no longer a passive hope in the dark. It is an active, prepared readiness for a process that has now, quietly, begun to move.